War crimes on Memorial Day. Oh, is that edgy? I'd just like to mention one thing. You know, it's very different when you're on the offense and technically the aggressor facing a campaign of sustained and brutal, grinding, partisan warfare, war by attrition, scorched earth, taken to its, under total war conditions, total mobilization, right? With an enemy that doesn't abide by the same scruples, the same bourgeois morality that guides things, documents like the Geneva Convention, for instance, or what we like to think of as international law, which in practical fact and bare bones, naked reality doesn't really bind anyone unless they bind themselves to it and its precedents, which it would purportedly like to establish, right? Well, it is easy to condemn the actions of, say, for instance, reprisal killings of civilians for partisan attacks upon officers and regular soldiers on the part of an enemy that is embedded within the local citizenry so closely and, quite frankly, may be working willingly with them. Put yourself in a command position. I know there is not a single American soldier that would likely go this far or be able to reason about this. Jocko Willink, for instance, has the type of emotional reaction you might expect. And he answers, with admirable coldness and clarity about what the universal, what the rules of war are, right? Regarding counterinsurgency and anti-partisan, as it was called back then, anti-guerrilla actions or efforts or punitive expeditions, which unfortunately may entail facing, civilian involvement and determined guerrilla proactive campaign, tactics, facing tactics like that. All the gloves are off at this point, right? Well, I don't know. I won't go too much further into this particular angle of the subject because I can't. I would be considered an apologist for war crimes or whatever. I will only say that for the soldier in the field, and for the men who must lead, and for the men who must put other men in harm's way and watch them die and bear the responsibility, I would say that everything that is beyond the plane of the hand-wringers and the moralizers, well, let me put it to you this way. When America and France faced an extended, bloody, drawn-out, similar war, only under very different environmental conditions in the theater, right? Vietnam is a tropical, kind of semi-neatly dividable Southeast Asian nation, right? And surprise, surprise, the Americans and French, the gallant allies, right? Forces of freedom and democracy and liberalism, the American way, capitalism, all that quote-unquote good stuff, our freedom to buy stuff, our freedom to choose Coke over Pepsi, for instance, our freedom to vote, to be counted like so many heads of cattle every 4 years, to make decisions that don't really change anything about our daily lives, etc. False freedom, all that crap. The Americans and French, the quote-unquote good guys, who had to destroy the villages to save them, to sweep and clear them of, the communist plague, to burn down Vietnam if necessary to save it, even though everything's defoliated and children being blown apart by landmines, unexploded ordnance. It's a reality, all of this, right? The good guys had to do what? Go back and put themselves in the hated hobnail boots of their only military rival, opponent in recent conflict, right? That would have had experience with dealing with anti-partisan, anti-guerrilla, counterinsurgency type stuff, tactics, strategies, right? And, well, we know the story there. We had My Lai and other, very legitimate reports of guys at the front line going berserk, becoming French fine, as auf Deutsch, right, as they would put it. Front bastards, or mad dogs, or guys who just flip out and go berserk. No longer making any distinction between, civilian or, uniformed, regular enemy infantry. Known belligerents, open combatants in time of war, right? When all that goes out the window, when modernity undermines the last shreds of older military virtues like honor, a tough but fair, code of military justice, the ordinary strictures, when everything gets removed, sure enough, the good guys found out what it was like to be the bad guys. The good guys, with supposedly the best cause in the world, found out what it was like to be the villains, right? I've seen that certain little clip where the potent question is asked, are we the bad guys? Well, the note I'd like to leave on is, I don't know. There was a comic strip during the degenerate 60s called Pogo. But there was something that was said in there which was semi-famous for a good reason, because it was rather trenchant. And this was during the time of the Vietnam War. We have met the enemy, says Pogo, and he is us. So, I don't know. I just feel so sorry that these painful lessons of history will probably have to be repeated. Or as Nietzsche thought, might just be repeated in a cycle eternally, right? Without time. So, I don't know. It's pretty depressing. But reality is like that. That's all. Have a nice Memorial Day.